internationally known when I be on the mic. I'm internationally known, yo. I'm internationally known when I be on the mic. So all hail the honorable. I'm internationally known when I be on the mic. I'm internationally known, yo. I'm internationally known when I be on the mic. So all hail the honorable. I'm internationally known when I be on the mic. I'm internationally known, yo.
Oh, guys, welcome to the Being Neo podcast. I am Neo. Welcome. It's crazy. The last time I was doing a podcast, it was the Keto Matrix podcast, and there wasn't a camera. I mean, there was a camera, but I never actually shared any of the video. It was just an audio only kind of thing. All right, so listen, one of the things I want to do with this podcast right now is always open it up with a fact. So I am in Medellin, Colombia right now. Colombia, the country, Medellin, the city in Colombia, not Columbia, South Carolina. So many people get that confused. When I say I'm in Colombia, they're like, oh yeah, how's the heat in South Carolina? I'm like, I don't know. I'm not in South Carolina. All right, so a fact. And the reason we're going to start with the fact on the Being Neo podcast is because you never know what's going to be talked about after. I feel like this podcast is going to be a very subjective podcast because we're going to be talking, connecting life, sharing perspectives, outlooks, and hopefully expanding and opening your mind and perspective with everything. That said, there's a lot of subjectivity involved with those kind of conversations. And so I felt like it was necessary to always start the podcast with a fact. So because I'm in Medellin, we're going to start with a fact from Medellin. Fact: the first in the world ever to have a cable car for public transportation is Medellin, Colombia. Can you believe that? So I'm going to read this verbatim. One of the most interesting facts about Medellin, Colombia is that in 2004, a French company built a gondola lift system that would serve as public transportation. It's regarded as the world's first ever cable car public transit system. It's not a bad way to get around. I have actually been on that. If you want to go to Parque RV, which is a very tranquil area outside of Medellin, you have to take the cable car system to get there. So it's pretty cool. Now, the question is, do I always want to look directly into the camera, or do I want to hit you with like this little side profile view? Because I feel like when I start turning these subject matter long form podcasts into reels and short form content, no one actually wants me to look directly at them. It's kind of like intimidating if I'm in your face. But talking like this feels weird. I don't know. All right, so what are we going to talk about today? Episode 1. It feels so crazy to say that. All right, so why don't we go with some of the crazy things? Since we're saying crazy things, we'll just continue. This is 2024. It is January 28th, 2024, the recording of this podcast. Now, this is a recording. I will be doing most of these podcasts live. The reason this is a recording is because it's the first one. I'm using some different softwares, some different hardwares. I wanted to check out lighting, the microphone, make sure the audio is good, all that good stuff. So I'm recording this one. But here's the thing that I want to say, and I want to say it right now before I get too scared to say it again. On the Keto Matrix podcast, when that podcast ended, my very last episode, we were averaging about 20,000 listeners per week. I did a weekly podcast. Every week, about 20,000 listeners would listen. That to me blew my mind. I could not believe it. 20,000 people listening to me talk. Still, I'm just like, that's crazy. But for the Being Neo podcast, before the end of this year, with the podcast that, weekly, forget about it. I have so much to say. I really, I want to have 1 million listeners before the end of the year. Wow. No one should have this much silence on a podcast because people are talking on podcasts. But just saying that just sounds unbelievable. Like it's impossible. And if you're watching the video of this, I'm telling you, me saying that is really stretching because I don't want to listen to me talk. I don't want to listen or watch me talk. And I have some pretty cool friends that I will be bringing on the podcast. I'll be bringing on so many different people. Some people that I haven't talked to in ages, some people I've just met, some people I've never met, and I will meet them live here on the podcast with you. But it's going to be different. And all me. All me. What does that mean, all me? It's the Being Neo podcast. It can't be about anybody else. It's got to be about me. So it's about me. Now, what does that mean? A podcast about Neo. People, I really push the limits of growth for myself every day since losing weight. So I lost 150 pounds, more than 150 pounds. I don't know exactly what, doesn't really matter. But that journey for me really changed a lot in my life. And the reason it changed a lot in my life is because I knew everything about losing weight and being healthy and fitness, and I knew nothing. I watch even friends of mine right now that have coaching businesses and they talk nutrition, and I'm just like, oh. And I mean, they've had success helping clients lose weight and, compete and all those things. But just because you've had success doesn't mean you know what you're doing. It just means you've had success. So I say that to say this podcast is about me. But this podcast is about me and my perspective, my outlook, my desire to connect, to understand, and to share my heart with you, the listener, the viewer, the guest. I want to understand you guys, and I want to share me as I understand you. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to unpack things that I've learned. I progressively push myself to learn more. And as I learn those things, I'm going to share them. We're going to talk about them. And we're going to talk to some friends and some strangers that are going to interact with me and share with you their experiences, perspectives, outlooks on life, experiences, stories, adventures. Oh my goodness, everything. We're going to talk about it all. And listen, this is not a podcast for kids. I'm sorry. I have a heart for kids. I love kids. But this is not the podcast for kids. The reason this is not the podcast for kids is because some of the things we're going to talk about are just real and raw. We're going to talk about relationships, sex, drugs, alcohol, lying, cheating, infidelity, marriage, divorce, wars, fights, politics, religion, sex. Did I say? I think I might have said sex already. Can you tell I like sex? Maybe we'll get in some polyamory. I don't know. We're going to talk about a lot of things, but we're not going to talk with any kind of filters. So fuck. I'm sorry. Like, this is, if you were looking for a fucking sign, this is the fucking sign. Sign the fuck off. Oh my goodness. So I watched a reel today. She's actually someone I've reposted before. She's a poet. She's inspirational. She's very open-minded. She's incredible. She's incredible. But today she shared something, and I watched it probably like 6 or 7 times. And as I was watching it, I was thinking to myself, she's right. Fuck, she's right. And I kind of had a conflict for a moment because, so the thing that she was talking about, and she was saying, she said, I curse a lot, and I'm all about love. And I didn't realize, based on how she grew up and her family and background, etc. I don't want to jack it up because maybe we'll have her on the podcast one day. Oh, hold on. This is something I've had this podcast 1,000,001 times. Like walking up and down the street, while I'm in the shower, at dinner with friends. Like, I have had this recorded podcast in my mind 1,000,000 times, and this is something else I wanted to say that is fucking crazy. Fuck, I can't believe I'm going to say this. See, the thing about these things, these podcasts, the Keto Matrix podcast is done, but the episodes are still out there. So, like, once I hit publish on this is out there. Shit. I'm not saying it's going to be this year, but I want Alicia Keys on this podcast. I want Alicia Keys as a guest on the Being Neo podcast. The fuck am I to ask for Alicia Keys on the podcast? Holy shit. I do. I want Alicia Keys on the podcast. So, Alicia, if you're watching episode 1, this is me, Neo, inviting you to get on my podcast. You can send me a DM. Could you guys imagine Alicia Keys sliding in my DMs? I follow you. You can follow me. Matter of fact, tell you what, you just follow me back, and I'll take that as a sign. I'll be like, oh, Alicia Keys is following me. Okay, but seriously, Alicia, if you're watching this, just go to my website, click the link in the bio, and jump on my calendar. I'm easily approachable, guys, by the way. Just so link in bio on my Instagram, or go to my website. All of that will be links in the description here. But just jump on my calendar. You can get on my calendar, and we can set up whatever time works best for you to be on the Being Neo podcast. So it's out there officially. You now have a way. I have said it. I have put it out in the universe. So Alicia, when you watch this podcast or listen to this podcast, I want you to reach out to me and set up a time to get on the podcast. Now, some of you are like, why in the fuck do you think Alicia Keys? It's another story for another time, but her book, More Myself, is one of the reasons I'm here right now talking to you. So yes, thank you, Alicia. I'll tell you more about it before you get on the podcast, so you make sure, like, you know. And we don't want you on like episode 2. We got to build up some clout first, so stay tuned. I'm nuts. All right, so I continue to digress with this whole Being Neo thing. The weight loss journey that happened caused me to look at things way differently because I thought I knew. I thought I knew. And I didn't know. And the reason and the way I found out I didn't know is because it was not working. Like, it was not working. And the definition of insanity is if you continue doing the same things over and over again, expecting a different result. And so for me, I'm like, fuck, it's not working. And so I started taking the advice and opinion of other people. I had a friend told me about intermittent fasting, and I thought they were crazy. And I was like, let's try it. Tried intermittent fasting. I lost like 70 pounds. It was great. And I was eating all sorts of nonsense, like cake, cupcakes, cookies, ice cream, like name it. I ate it, and I ate it within my eating window. It was fantastic. I lost a ton of weight, which, by the way, guys, if you're intermittent fasting and you're not losing weight, you should get on my calendar too. You know why? Because you're doing it wrong. Most people do intermittent fasting. They don't eat sufficient amount of calories. And so they don't, and then they can't understand why. And it's because their body thinks they're starving. Get on my calendar. We'll talk about it. But in either case, Alicia, you can get on my calendar. It doesn't cost you anything. For everybody else, before you get on my calendar, realize that there's a cost. So just FYI that. I felt I could feel it now. People are like, oh my goodness, I want to get on this calendar and talk to Neo. If you want to talk to me, I want to talk to you. But just realize that the conversations aren't free because time costs. Time is the most valuable commodity we have, and we can never get more of. So keep that in mind. All right, so I'm sitting here like, man, this is working. Eating garbage and losing weight and all that. And then I got introduced to keto. My ex-wife now, my then wife at the time, she was like, you're crazy. You can't do keto. You love carbs. Which, I mean, let's be real. With the intermittent fasting, she was not lying. But I was like, I can do anything I want to do. So I started keto. And then I changed my mind on energy and how you use energy, and the rabbit hole of research for that was just ridiculous. Now I'm carnivore. I only eat meat. I know. We'll do a podcast episode about Amber O'Hearn. Amber, if you're watching episode 1, these are people that need to be on the podcast. Amber O'Hearn, she is the reason I am carnivore. I listened to one of her podcasts on a flight to Texas, and it changed my life. So Amber should be on this podcast. She was on the Keto Matrix podcast. So I'll have to reach out to her to be on the Being Neo podcast. But all of that said, it changed my outlook on everything. And I realized that I could no longer carry the perspectives I had about anything from yesterday into my tomorrow. Because if I continue to do that, how many other things did I think I was doing well that I wasn't doing well? and was failing miserably at. And so that was the thing that kind of sparked the whole Neo. Neo means new. So no, I'm not the one. Yes, I love the Matrix, but no, this is not about the Matrix. Though I can relate absolutely everything in life to the Matrix. But the reality is just, yo, I'm here trying to be new, trying to be better, trying to improve who I am in every aspect of who I am every single day. And it's exhausting. Now I'm a Gemini, so my emotions change on a regular basis. Shout out to all of my Geminis that are out there. You know that we can go from happy to sad to angry to confused to sad to happy to ecstatic to exhausted, like in 15 minutes. So like, that's just real. We are very emotional creatures, Geminis, which is cool. I love it. I think it's great. But with that said, in trying to improve every day and looking at and trying to be more self-aware, and dude, it's exhausting because emotionally I'm exhausting myself with trying to be better. But I continue. I've been in therapy now 2019, however long that is. And I say that proudly. I'm in therapy. For anyone that is not, mental health is a big thing for me. We'll talk a lot about that on the podcast. But 2019, I wanted to take my life. I wanted to take my life. I did not take my life because my friend took his. And in him taking his life before I took my own, it all hit me. It all hit me like a ton of bricks. And here we are. I'm so grateful I didn't. But that said, mental health is a very important thing to me. And since 2019 and navigating that, I also went through divorce. I've been in counseling since then. And it has progressively helped me process every emotion, feeling, thought, good, bad, exciting, depressing, all of the emotions. Therapy is not because you're crazy. Therapy is to help you solve problems at a faster and more efficient rate by speaking and sharing those problems with someone you can trust to keep them free of judgment. So we're going to do some of that here. I'm going to share a lot, but my hope and desire, my heart for you, as you listen to me share my life transparently and vulnerably, is that you can connect with some of the things I talk about, like divorce. We're going to talk about my divorces. I am a 2-time pro at being divorced. I'm a 2-time pro at being divorced. I am a 2-time pro at being divorced, but we're going to talk about that and share that. I'm going to talk about some of the friends I've helped navigate their own divorces. I'm never going to share names of who those people are, ever, but I continually learn more. I'm also going to talk about those people that should be allowing me to help them not get divorced right now, that are scared to allow me to do that. Again, no names, but all of these kind of topics we're going to talk about on the podcast. So strap in. With the whole aspect of like being better and improving myself, and, you know, looking at every opportunity as a new opportunity, looking at every new day, new moment, new hour, literally, I don't care what the fuck happened 20 minutes ago. This could be the best day of my life 20 minutes later. I truly, in my heart, believe that every single time. And so my heart is, as I share these things with you vulnerably and we connect, and you're like, damn, I feel you. I want you to find the courage to connect with someone and share that. Because it takes a village. My friend took his life and he saved mine. Now, let's be honest. He didn't take his life to save mine, but he did. And so what could you do sharing your story about whatever it is you're going through with someone that you typically would not? You don't know what they're going through. All right, so where am I leading with all of this? The Being Neo podcast. It's not about me. I know, I just told you. Everything on this podcast is about me. It's about being Neo. And I mean that. But it's not about me. It's about Neo. So I don't want to sound crazy and start talking to myself or talking about myself in third person. But the reality is that it's about being new. This podcast is about everyone having the opportunity to listen, connect, learn from whatever I can share that may help you learn, grow from my experiences, learn from my failures, learn from some of the successes and failures of my friends and the people I've met along my journey in life, and take that opportunity to be a new version of yourself. I'm not talking about you changing who you are. I feel like people, I'm like, I love me. I love me too. I mean, uncovering 100% authentic version of who you are, free from the fear of who gives a fuck about what anybody thinks about it, and then sharing that authenticity with someone else so that we can live in a world that's just 100% more authentic, especially in this fucking world we live in right now where you get on social media and you can't. Let me just help you guys out. Maybe at the time that you're watching this, I have a blue check mark because I've decided to pay Meta $14 a month to have one. I'm too cheap to do that right now. I just don't feel like it. And I should, because I know the growth rate of people that come would be higher. I don't want to get sucked into it. You know why? Because it's fucking bullshit. Because it's $14 a month. So Meta used to be a thing that was like the blue check mark on Instagram is what I'm referring to, guys. For those of you like, huh, what is that? The verified profiles. It used to be like a real thing where you had to like verify your identity of who you were. And I mean, you still kind of have to do that now, but it doesn't fucking matter because now you just pay $14 a month and send them your ID. And they're like, okay, cool, check mark, which is fine. But like, it doesn't carry the same weight because that's all that it is. There's not like, there used to be like this feeling about validity of, like this person shares genuine content. This person is truly entertaining. This person truly has something to offer society. This person has something to truly offer the platform. I have seen people with 100 followers with a fucking blue check mark. The fuck? I mean, and I guess it makes them feel special because it's on their profile and all that shit. I don't care. I don't care. But everything here will be real. I'm going to really share my life with you. Verifiably so. So just strap in and share with other people because it's really what this world needs is for us to get outside ourselves and just improve. Okay? All right. So that said, I want to introduce something crazy because there's some things that you need to know. Now, this is a recording. It's not live. But one of the things I really wanted to do, if you know me, and this is not the first time you've met me, you will know I love music. Music is life. I love music almost as much as I love coffee, marijuana, sex. That'll be the third time I've said it now in podcast 1. And so music is important to me. And the song that I had in my head to intro this podcast, which you may have heard entering this podcast, episode 1, is from Eric B. and Rakim, When I Be on the Mic. And the whole reason for that is because of the one part where he's like, I'm internationally known when I be on the mic. And I'm like, I want to be internationally known when I'm on the mic. So the most important thing that you could do for me right now, listener, is if anything that I've said has seemed even a little bit remotely interesting, sex, mental health, depression, traveling abroad, living my life, this will be my 3rd year. This is my 3rd year, by the way, in Colombia. My 4th. Because this was just my 3rd past Christmas here in Colombia. So rolling up on 4. It's my travel hub, people. I travel the world. So that's always fun and interesting to talk about. Been divorced twice. Been a canine trainer for 20 plus years. There's just so many things to talk about. But all of that said, I mean, the weight loss thing is cool. My corporate career is cool. We'll talk about that. I closed $3 million in leases in a 7-month period of time while moving 3 states. That's a story. There's so much to talk about. But my point in all of that is, as we talk about those things, I need you to share it. Because if I'm going to get Alicia Keys on the podcast, I need you to share it. I need you to share the podcast and be like, hey, this guy's going to have Alicia Keys on the podcast. And then just send it to your boy or send it to your best friend, your best female friend, your best male friend. Share it to your book club. I don't care. But I just want you to be like, hey, this dude Neo, the Being Neo podcast, he said he's gonna have Alicia Keys on a podcast, and then send it out. Because I did say that. That's true. Alicia, help your brother out. I have thousands and thousands of listeners that are now writing their best friends to tell them that I am going to have you on the podcast. So help your boy out, please. And if anyone's watching this and knows Alicia Keys personally, please send her this. Send the link so we can connect. Okay. So I need you guys to share. And I mean that. Please share. Sharing is caring. I want you to like it and subscribe and click the bell for notifications. And I want all of those things. I really do. But dare I say it? I'm going to say it. Wow. It means more to me and it means more to the channel, this podcast, if you share it with someone. And the reason I say that is because if you don't like it and you don't subscribe and you don't click the bell for notifications, which again, I recommend, if it meant anything to you, you'll come back. But sharing it with someone gives them an opportunity to formulate their opinion and perspective on the Being Neo podcast. And that means so much to me because maybe they like it, maybe they don't. But I know how difficult and challenging it is to share. Do you know why? Because I remember all of the different multi-level marketing fucking things that I was involved in. And I had to reach out to friends and be like, hey, do you want some noni juice? Hey, do you want Shakeology? Hey, do you want to take the 24-day challenge? Fucking hey, man. I swear to you, I'm going to have some friends on here and they're going to be like, you know, Neo, I remember when your name wasn't Neo. And I remember when blah, 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 blah. So clearly I can talk, people. I don't know. I think we're like 26 minutes into this episode and I feel like I haven't said shit. But one of the things I do want to talk about that has been tormenting me, and the reason this podcast has not come up or has not gone out yet is because it was still very much in process, was Neo, new, and how I still, after all these years, am not comfortable. Like, being new is supposed to be like the most comfortable thing ever because I could be new every day, every moment, every second. I could just be new. So it's all good. No stress. Yesterday doesn't matter. I could be new. And even with that, the whole Neo thing has been official for, I guess, 2019. I feel like it was before that. It was. I feel like I battled with it a little bit, like embracing the whole call me Neo thing. Like, so I want to say 2017 was like the beginning, but like 2019, it was like, if you didn't call me Neo, I wasn't answering to you. And even with that, it was like, fuck, I'm still not at peace. I still feel uncomfortable in my own skin. And I don't know why. What a year 2019 was. But all that said, then the last couple of years has happened, right? So I left the States. I was terribly miserable in the best moments of my life. I'm living in I don't even know how big it was now, 4,500 square foot penthouse. I'm living above Nikola Djokovic. I'm living above Nikola Djokovic, the NBA MVP, in a penthouse. He's in my building. I'm the floor above him. I'm actually several floors above him and his family. Like, fuck. Saying that out loud sounds crazy. But here I am. I'm in the penthouse. These are the type of people I live with. I'm living, downtown Denver. This is where I'm at. And I'm miserable. I'm fucking miserable. I have the hottest girlfriend who is the worst girlfriend ever. I am dealing with selling a software sale deal that is stressing me the fuck out. I'm miserable. And what's worse is I'm getting in the elevator every day and having motherfuckers ask me if I'm there to deliver Amazon packages. I'm not even joking. I'm paying $10,000 plus a month to live in this apartment. It's a penthouse, but it's an apartment. And I'm getting in the elevator with people that pay a fraction of what I'm paying to be there, asking me if I'm there to deliver Amazon packages. And it got to the point where I used to love telling them, sure, and then asking them if they could hit the floor because the penthouse floors need a special key. So I'd be like, yeah, here, I'm going to 15. And I'll be like, oh, sorry, my father doesn't work. I'm like, yeah, no shit. Because I know everybody lives in a penthouse because it's only us that live in penthouses and you don't. So how about shut the fuck up and stop asking me if I'm delivering a package for Amazon? Like, no, it's my package that I got for me. But that was miserable. It was miserable. Constantly, it was miserable. And then the people that lived there were miserable. Like, I mean, there were some really cool people. I have some good friends still now from then, but like, there were just so many miserable people, miserable fake ass people. I'm recording right now in my. Do you guys love this auto camera? I love it. In my Airbnb, that is. So this is my wingspan is literally the bedroom, and if I go out into the kitchen, living room, bathroom area, the entire apartment. I don't want to exaggerate. I want to. No, I feel like it's pretty accurate. This entire apartment is the size of my closet, and I'm happier than I have ever been. I mean that I am more at peace than I have ever been, and that's not to say I'm problem free. I have fucking a shit ton of problems, but I'm at peace and I'm happy, and it's not living in a penthouse in Denver, Colorado. I do miss the heated bathroom floors though. Oh, it was great. But it's just fucking not important. And when I realized that, I was like, shit, I need to make action. I need to take action. I need to change. I need to do something that I've always wanted to do. And that was come here to Colombia to buy a coffee farm and travel the world in the process. And I left without my girlfriend. It's a whole nother story for another episode, but I did. I left. I came solo. That was such an. I want to be transparent on this episode because I need everyone to understand. Like, this is the tone. This is the tonality. So, like, I remember. I remember leaving Colorado. My flight got delayed, or it didn't get delayed. I had to change my flight because when I left, my dog Logan, um, he keyed up on somebody. I have a Dutch Shepherd. He's amazing. He's world best dog. We'll talk more about that and how my 20 years of canine led to this particular dog who I followed grandparents, all whatever. We'll talk about it. He keyed up on someone. They wouldn't let me fly with him that day on that flight. So I had to change the flight for the next day and then find something to do with my dog. And in doing that, it was just kind of hit me. I was like, fuck, I'm leaving. I'm going to Colombia. And this is going to be the last time I see my girlfriend. I didn't trust her for good reason. And I just remember bawling. I was I'm in bed with her and she'll just cuddle her up. I'm holding her and I'm fucking bawling like a baby because I know who I am. And I know that this relationship is over. I know it's over. And she's telling me, she's like, I'm going to see you soon. I'm going to see you soon. This relationship is not done. I love you. I'll be there. And I was like, okay. I get off the plane 3 hours later. I meet a chick in Exito, the grocery store. An hour after that, we're in her apartment having sex. A couple hours after that, I connected with my weed dealer, who later on my then girlfriend met. That's so bad. Oh my goodness. For those of you judging me right now, you're like, man, you're an evil dude. Or those of you like, that's not very nice. Or those of you that are like, oh, you shouldn't kiss and tell. I don't know. All of the millions of things that you could be saying, this might not be the podcast for you. Because I'm not going to not be my authentic self. I am not a perfect person. If you came on here to listen to the Being Neo podcast because you thought I was going to talk about how perfect I am, sign the fuck off, because that's not me. If you were going to get on here and think that I was about to be so sorry and apologetic all the time, you can sign the fuck off too, because that's not me. Which brings me back to my point I was making before. Listen, people, I promise you I will always circle back and cover my points. But I was talking about the person that I follow that talks on Instagram, and she's going through this. I curse too much. And because I curse too much, I feel bad because I want to spread and share love. And I'm over here trying to change the world and be myself. And I'm like, fuck, she's right. I curse too much. And then I thought to myself, that's who the fuck I am. I don't curse too much. And I can understand that if you reflect on me cursing, that it does sound aggressive. But I didn't get to this fucking spot by being weak. And I'm not saying people that don't curse are weak. I'm just telling you it's not an accurate reflection of what the fuck it took for me to get right here. So like, I've got designs out. Link is in the description. I'm going to talk a lot about it because it's been the thing that I finally realized. The thing that I have learned, like I've learned keto and intermittent fasting, carnivore, how to manipulate my body and how to actually be new. The thing that I've learned, the thing that's flashed and allowed me to say, I have to start this fucking podcast now, is peace over everything. And so like peace over everything. So when I first had this concept of like peace over everything, it came from this girl that I didn't even want to say I was dating her because we weren't dating. Would you say it was dating? If you're watching this right now. En mi mente es como imposible tú quieres ver este podcast o escuchar este podcast porque literalmente es absolutamente en inglés. Ay, no, obvio no quiero compartir el nombre de esta mujer, pero si estás a ver este podcast o escuchar, dime lo que tú crees. ¿Tú crees es posible dije, salir juntos por un ratico o qué? En mi mente es como, ay, quizás no, es como, yeah. For those people in English that are like, what the fuck is he saying right now? Like, why are you talking in Spanish? So like my question to her, if she were watching this right now, I'd be like, would you say we were dating? And the reason I say this is because she's a mom. So like we didn't go on a ton of dates, but our time was kind of restricted because she's a mom and she was working and she had to take care of her son. And so like, we didn't get on a lot of dates, but I had some really intense conversations and some really intense feelings and chemistry and connections. But I mean, I feel like I could say we dated, but I don't know that I consider whatever. I digress. This particular woman tells me she quit her job one day. And I'm like, well, you did what? Huh? I was like, okay. She's Colombian here in Colombia and she quit her job. And I was like, okay, cool. What are you going to do next? Like, what's your new job? She doesn't have one. And I'm talking to her and she's talking to me and I'm listening to her and I'm like, huh? And she's uncomfortable at her job and she wants to be at peace. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like a ton of bricks. This link will be in the description as well. I have a video on YouTube on the channel. That's dated. It's not a podcast. It's just a video. It's called Dating a Webcam Model. The link description. But in that video, I talk about dating this webcam model. And I dated another webcam model after that. And I've dated other women here that are just not at peace with a lot of different things. And I thought to myself, man, like, it's fucking profound that you would do something as crazy as not make money when I know you're not rich, you don't have savings, and you have a son. Like, the fuck are you gonna quit your job because you don't have peace? Like, that's fucking insane. And then I started thinking about all the people I knew with jobs that weren't at peace and like what it looked like. I started thinking about how many people have committed suicide because they hated where they worked and because they were under that much pressure at work. And then I started thinking, well, fuck. You know, she was talking about not wanting to bring that stress home to her. And I'm just like, wow, what the fuck is more important than peace? Like, what the actual fuck is more important than peace? And see, some of you are even getting like, why does he curse so much? You're saying peaceful things. Because fuck. Do you think, I want you to take a moment. I want you to think of yourself as a single mom with a young child who doesn't have any money, live paycheck to paycheck right now. And you say, I'm not at peace with what I do for work. And I'm bringing home this non-peaceful vibe to my house and sharing it with my child. And I can't do that shit anymore. I'm done. See, when I put it in that light, you're like, yeah, you don't want the kids. The children are our future. Some of you are still like, no, she's fucking crazy. But the reason I'm so aggressive with it is because that is the truth. Homegirl on Instagram was talking about love, and she doesn't curse because of that and whatever. And that's cool. And she's working on it, and she's a work in progress. And I'm not. I mean, like, if she wants to be, if that's more peaceful for her, you're like, hats off. I commend her. Total respect. But for me, that's just not who the fuck I am. And the last thing I want to do is change who the fuck I am because of that. Because for me to get peace, I have to wage war. So, like, you look at the design, if you click the link and you go to the website, it says wage war for peace. And the reason it says wage war for peace is because it's not fucking easy to maintain, to guard, to keep your peace, to preserve your peace. It takes difficult decisions. It takes tough discipline. It takes remembering your value. It takes not giving away who you are to other people to make those people happy. It takes making the choices and decisions selfishly that you keep making selflessly for other people, losing your peace and giving your peace away in the process. It's fucking tough to be at peace. So wage war for it. And I'm not going to fucking apologize because I curse. It's because it's absolutely necessary. Shit. I can't remember who it was. I cannot remember who it was. But they were talking about being violent. Jordan Peterson. I think it was Jordan Peterson. Shout out to Jordan Peterson. His daughter, Michaela, congratulations on the new baby. Michaela Peterson had a new baby. But in either case, I want to say it was Jordan Peterson. And it's a video clip, you know, it's circulating socials. And he's in this video clip and he's talking about how, you know, violent men, like, what's the difference between violent men and gentle men? And you know, he's basically just saying, like, if you're violent, that's fine. But there takes no talent if you're fucking soft. I know you're probably like, huh, what? Basically, the point is, if you're soft, you're beta, that's fine. But you have no capacity for violence, which means you being a gentleman doesn't really mean shit because you have no capacity for violence. Right? So, like, you are no threat. You know what takes a gentleman being a gentleman? Him being able to take his violent ass nature, tone it down, calm it down, and speak to you kindly, sweet, with love, compassion, and peace. Because he's a gentleman, because he can turn that on, because he's withholding the violence. Well, that's who the fuck I am. I'm withholding my violence, my war. I'm keeping that at bay to be at peace. But do not twist it. Do not take it for granted. Because the reality is, it's a war. And I just thought, I was like, damn, it's true. Like, there is a threat. And that threat and me not being that should show you your value and me wanting to be peaceful. So all of that said, peace over everything. I want to change the world one person at a time. with peace. Because one of the things I realized is I learned this peace over everything through her and through my life experiences, through my dating these last couple of years, through navigating my problems with my different businesses, with traveling, with everything, is that for 41 years, I have not been at peace. 41 years I haven't been at peace. All right, I'm going to end the podcast with this. What I realized moments before clicking record. I'm going to read you something too. I really do believe in vibes and energies and connections. And I believe that if you watch this podcast long enough or listen to this podcast long enough, if you connect with me long enough on my social medias, on the things that I say and the different aspects and forms of which I share differently, I truly do believe that I'll be able to connect with you. I truly do believe that you will be able to feel my heart for you. That said, in order for that to happen, I have to keep showing up here and sharing transparently, as uncomfortable as this is. And you have to continue to share this with other people. But here's the thing that I learned today. My friend sent me a meme. It was a Gemini meme. I am constantly sharing Gemini memes. And so I was like, okay, cool, it's a Gemini meme. I'm not going to tell you what it said yet. But today, earlier, as I was walking, smoking, I was thinking about peace and why has it been 41 years that I haven't had peace? Like, when did I lose it? Like, what was the moment in my life where I lost peace? And that's what I started thinking about that this morning as I was walking Logan, my dog. And then I came inside and I had coffee and I was on my stories and I was talking about peace over everything and sharing the link because I really, truly, I need you, if you're listening, if you're watching, to go buy a mug or a shirt that represents the importance of peace over everything in your life. But for me, I was still trying to figure out, like, when did I lose my peace? And as I'm on the stories, drinking my coffee, sharing this morning, I was talking about my friend, shout out Brad Turner. I think on my story I said he was an RVP, but I think he was an RSD. In either case, he was my boss when I was a business development exec for Staples. I didn't work in the store. I worked in an office building. I'll talk about that more later. But he's telling me about how he puts his kids to bed. And he's talking about how he gives his kids options. And I'm talking about peace over everything and options and how we give our peace away. But as I'm talking about Brad, which was weird that this came up, even now as I'm thinking about it, I was like, what was the point I was trying to make this morning on the story and sharing that story? But he's talking about he gives his kids options. And, you know, Brad's a joking kind of guy. He's really into his kids. He's a very loving father. And I was like, that makes sense. He's like, you know, do you want me to read to you before or after you brush your teeth? And like all the questions he'd ask gives the kids options to get to bed, right? Like it's a peaceful approach to taking them. He's like, I'm not going to fight with the kids. You give them options. There's no need for that conflict. And I've said that on the stories and I went throughout my day, went to the gym, you know, dinner. And then I was in a shower and I had just smoked and I'm in the shower and I realized I know when my peace was stolen. I was about 3 years old. My father sat me in the corner. He said, shut the fuck up. Now, maybe he didn't say shut the fuck up. Maybe he said shut the hell up. Maybe he just said shut up. I don't know. But for me, at that point in time, at 3 years old, he said shut the fuck up. And don't talk, don't move. Okay. That was a very aggressive man. I don't blame him. I'm an aggressive man. But I don't have kids because I'm an aggressive man. That's not why I don't have kids. And I'm not that way with kids. But parents aren't perfect. I don't know if my parents are going to listen to this episode. I know no one gives parents a manual on how to raise kids. I know I don't have kids, but I can tell you how many puppies I've ruined in not knowing how to raise puppies. So I don't blame my parents for any of it. But in that moment, I lost my peace. And some of you are like, the fuck are you talking about? All right. So I want to read to you. This is me taking my phone out. And I'm going to read the thing that my friend sent me. So first off, let me see if I can share this without sharing their information. So it's just a meme from Instagram. Focus. You know, like the ones that you'll see, whatever. This one's Gemini so far this year. So it says, so far this year has been catalyzing and deepening in your personal transformation journey and in your understanding of your and others' emotional and psychological nature. As you emerge on the other side of this process, you have the opportunities to gain a more objective perspective on patterns that tend to come up repetitively in your life and their connection with the protection mechanisms that you took as a child. 2024 for you marks the beginning of a massive shift in beliefs and worldview that is just starting to unfold and will ripple over several years and areas of your life. P.S. blah, 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 to like read your horoscope, link in bio. So I thought it was so funny that she sent this to me because I just had this revelation that in that moment as a child, my dad gave me options. He told me, shut the hell up and sit down. Maybe he just said, sit down, shut up. But it was an option to sit down and shut up or face his wrath. I got hit. I was a kid that got hit. It's okay. I'm a very disciplined child or adult from that childhood. But like, you didn't play games with my parents. It was their way or not, like, period. It was just, it is what it is. But that approach took away my option for peace, right? So like, I would imagine if I had kids, again, I don't, and I gave them options like, hey, if you can't sit here and be quiet because I'm watching the game, go to your room. Cool, because then I have an option, like, to choose peace. Well, I don't want to sit here and be quiet. I want to continue asking questions or continue talking or continue doing anything other than sitting here and being quiet. And so if I can't stay here, then I'll go to my room. Cool. That's peace. I didn't have that option. It was shut the hell up, which is robbing me of my peace because I want to say something or I want to express whatever it is I'm trying to express, or get in trouble. Those are my options. As a kid, my options were always do what it was that I tell you or get in trouble. So like, for me, the protection mechanism that I developed as a child was, okay, well, I'm going to make everybody happy then. Because if I make everybody happy, I don't have to get in trouble. And I can make everyone happy. I can make everyone happy by asking questions, figuring out what they want, and then doing that thing. It's one of the reasons why my entire corporate life was sales related, because I know how to take features, benefits, advantages, and solve problems, create solutions, because I've been doing it my entire life. Shit. So the mechanism is I'm going to give my peace away in small doses daily to everyone, my parents, my siblings, strangers, everyone. Because if I do what it is that you want me to do, you'll be happy and I won't get in trouble. And that has ended up in my life now where I've dated people that I had no fucking business dating, because it's okay. I'll accept this portion of you that I know is not best for me because that makes you happy. And it's spilled over in every area of my life to the point where here I am now at 41 years old saying, yo, for the first time in my life, I'm at peace. The first time. And this is after a long journey of what many would say has been a very successful life for me. And it has been. I'm blessed in so many areas, in so many ways. But I've never been at peace. I've been chasing it in women, in drugs, in music, in dancing, in motorcycles, in speed, in adrenaline, in work, in hobbies, in marriages, in church, in volunteering, in dieting, in workouts, in shooting, in every aspect of my life. I have been searching for my peace in something that I could do to increase my value so that my value was less subjective and more objective, so that I could hold my cards on the table and say, this is who I am. How could you not love me? Well, this is who I am. And I love me. And for the first time in my life, I don't give a shit if no one else does. Damn. If everyone could unpack why they're not at peace, we seriously would live in such a different world. Like, if people just took the time to say, no, fuck that, peace over everything, and really wage war to figure out what was stealing, what were they giving their peace away to, this world would be incredibly different. So all of that said, thank you guys so much for listening to episode 1. We're going to talk about so many things. The Keto Matrix podcast was a podcast I loved, but I felt like it bottlenecked me. It was too niche. Like, I had to talk about keto or diet, and I just want to talk about me. Every aspect of who I am, every aspect of my perspective, outlook, life, mentality, heart, challenges, triumphs, failures, successes, heartaches, pains, mental health issues, depression, excitement, joy, peace, tranquility, love, music, friendships, relationships, marriages, divorces, children, animals, just everything. I want to talk about everything that is me because I finally feel free to be myself. And there's a lot to me. And so look, strap in. Episode 2 is going to come out before you know it. They will be live most of the time. If for some reason I had something that I wanted to share and it was just, crazy late, like right now, or it's not going to be with a guest or whatever, I may just set up the camera and hit record like I am right now. But please remember this. I need your help. This is me seriously asking you for 2 things right now. The first, foremost, please share this episode. I don't care who you share it with. Share it with someone that needs to be encouraged to be themselves. Share it with someone that needs to be encouraged to discover themselves. Share it with someone that needs to listen to some entertaining shit that I'm going to be talking about at different times, because I am. Share it though, please, because 1 million people before the end of this year is real. It's January. It can happen, but it can't happen without you. So please do that. Second thing, this peace over everything. Look, man, me saying that I want to change the world with everyone becoming more at peace, it sounds crazy. So does Alicia Keys on the podcast. So does 1 million listeners before the end of the year. That's who the fuck I am. Crazy. And I know it's possible. So I want you to pick a shirt. You could do a hoodie, a shirt, a mug. Buy it. And it's in English and Spanish. I did not change the back. The translations for the back for Wage War for Peace, I'm just not a fan. But if you go to the website, it's freeyourmind.store. So just free your mind, all one word, period, store. You'll see the Peace Over Everything design. Cop one now, man. They're hot. And rep your peace. Be your authentic self. I don't care who that is, what the background is. I have no judgment in that. I just want you to rep your peace, and I want everyone else to see it, and I want you to wage war for it. Oh, you'll see this when you go there, but the wage war for peace, the 4, it's the number 4, because mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, it is tough to guard, keep, and maintain your peace. So wage war in those 4 areas for your peace. All right, guys, thank you so much. Seriously. So 1 is in the books. It's in the books. Connect with me, social medias. I'm on Snapchat, TikTok, obviously here, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitch. My lives will be live on Twitch. So if you're a Twitch, it's Being Neo on Twitch. It's being Neo pretty much everywhere. It's whether or not it has a period in between the two words or not, but that's it. And again, click the links, descriptions will have all of those things everywhere. So appreciate you guys so much. I get under an hour. Peace.